Hello and welcome back to Down the Track. The Chennai Super Kings are four times IPL champions. Congratulations to MS Dhoni, Stephen Fleming, and the whole CSK fan army. I have with me a huge CSK fan, a man born and brought up in Chennai. How does it
Nice.
feel, man? Four championships.
My God, how many times do I have to correct you? I feel like if you completely forget, I charge you every time you say this. I'm a CSK fan.
A bit of
but
an anticlimax at the end. It looked like it was going to be a really high-scoring thriller, but after the KKR openers got off to a good start, actually, they just tapered off the middle order again. Huge problem. We talked about it earlier, and that was the difference again.
yeah, I mean, the collapse was just, I mean, like, we saw it in the last game. Luckily, Rahul Tripathi was able to save them. But it was just too tall of a task today for them to come out of that. So it's unfortunate because they had a very good run going. But I think that the run was it covered some of the big chinks in their issue, and which is predominantly the middle order. Nothing take away from the fact that the likes of Morgan, Karthik, Shakib, Narayan, these guys are good players, but they've just not been in the form. And the likes of Iyer, Gill, and Tripathi have been saving them. And unfortunately, one of them was injured, and the first two who started off were not able to carry it on, and that was the reason the collapse happened. But hats off to Chennai. I think that this is a team that had the bases covered. They also had some flaws, but it was never really shown as hard as maybe some of the other issues. And very well captained by Mahendra Singh Dhoni and coached by Steve Fleming and core and just the the players stepping up at the time. The likes of Robin Uthappa and Moin Ali's innings today is just incredible. Robin Uthappa, you wouldn't have expected that kind of an innings from him. Comes in, hits 30 or 15, doesn't waste too much time, gets out there. Moin comes in, does the exact same thing. It's just fabulous. Like something. Whenever someone puts on that yellow jersey, it just feels like irrespective of whatever form you are, you will somehow perform at some stage. And I guess the backing or whatever it is, it always helps. And these guys are. That's why they are four-time champions, only behind Mumbai now.
Only behind Mumbai, and just Robin Uthappa made me laugh. He's played in different franchises, but he's now won with CSK. He's won with KKR, and but he hasn't won with RCB. So it made me laugh a bit. And he's not at the peak of his form or career or anything like that. It's towards the fag end of his career. But I think the way he batted, like you said, the intent which he showed, and that you give credit to the management for that. The approach that they've told the players to go for it, and they have the luxury because of their batting order. And but you still have to go out there and perform. And Faf du Plessis, I think, outstanding today. He's shown that like he still needs to play for South Africa. He can make a difference if he played in the World Cup. He's an outstanding player. Experience counts, and he's playing good on these pitches throughout this IPL. Whether it was in India and Dubai, he was consistent throughout.
Yeah, I was reading some report that since today is the deadline, I believe that there's some emergency meeting that being called in the South Africa board to try to see if they can inculcate Faf into the team. But we'll see how that goes. It looks unlikely though. But yeah, you're right. I feel Faf has been phenomenal. I think he's been consistent. I think Gaikwad and Faf have
Yeah,
been
Gaikwad as well.
an
Yeah.
absolute joy to watch. And CSK, the orange cap holders at number 1 and 2 have been CSK batsmen. Only both went past KL Rahul today. So that's the consistency
Yeah.
that they've shown. 1,200 runs by just the two of them is quite something. It's just an incredible achievement. And hats off to this team, man. I mean, whatever you say, it's less. Like I said, I mean, they saw they saw a lot has to go. Credit has to go to the management, I think, because we saw that in the past few games, we saw that KKR was able to stifle the batsmen through the middle overs when the spinners were dominant. But they came in and Robin Uthappa didn't let Shakib settle down. Sorry, Gaikwad didn't let Shakib settle down. Robin Uthappa didn't let Varun Chakravarti settle down. Except for Narayan, I think the other two were taken to the cleaners a little bit today. To the point that Venkatesh Iyer had to come in and bowl a over. So that was the limit that they pushed themselves, and that's why they got that 190. And then it was too tall a ask for them to come back. Even though in the past KKR have chased two 190 run scores, it was just too much for them this time.
Yeah, and speaking about the team management, I think there's a huge impact because it's a more chilled out atmosphere. I feel look at these players. I mentioned Uthappa, but even Moin Ali, he came from RCB. Shane Watson came from RCB, and they all shined. It's not like, okay, they're in a better team, that's why they're winning. They're actually performing themselves. They have that individual effort, and they're making a contribution to the team in a far superior manner than they were like in another club, right? So you have to give credit to that team management, to the captain, I'm sure, because it's not just, like I said, it's not just a new team. It's like them contributing in that team.
Absolutely, I think we've all seen the comfort level that you see in Chennai. This is I understand that Mumbai have won more championships, but I think Chennai has been the most consistent team in the IPL. Out of
Yeah.
11, out of
Dhoni said in the
11,
presentation, we've been consistent in losing finals as well. So, like, they've been up there. Like, even when they did not win, they were in the final, right? So
yeah, they've almost, I think, 9 times out of 11 they've made the finals. So it's quite something. I mean, that's quite an achievement. Even, like I said, even though Mumbai has been the most successful in terms of trophies won, but whenever they've not won, they've not even made the top four. That's the
yeah,
kind
that's
of
true.
impact that Mumbai has had in there too. So that's why I think the consistency with which Chennai have performed over the past 12 years has been phenomenal. And any credit given to them is absolutely worthy of. They're worthy of every single credit that they get, because they've been phenomenal. I mean, be it with the bat, be it with the ball, they have an excellent captain. I think the biggest challenge for CSK will now be in the next in this upcoming auction, because they have at least four or five players that they'll need to replace. The likes of Robin Uthappa, the likes of Bravo, the likes of Dhoni. These guys are not the likes of maybe even what's his name, Raidu. These guys are not going to be able to stick around another 3 years. So that to be able to replace those guys will be the challenge. But I think that this team, the team management is very smart and very shrewd, and they'll be able to easily find able replacements. The only thing that they will probably miss will be captaincy on the field, because Dhoni, I'm sure, will be a mentor at some level with CSK. But just on the field, that the small things that Dhoni sees, some people don't see. So that will be the interesting part. But I expect CSK to continue to be consistent, because that's the way the management has been set up, the way the coaching staff is, the way they there's no pressure. So that's the big deal. With the RCB, you always seem that there's a bit of pressure. With Punjab, you see that pressure. With Rajasthan Royals, you see that pressure. But it's not too much. Even with Mumbai, you see a lot of pressure, like
There's a
especially
lot of
when Indore
pressure. I was
make
going
it.
to say that
Yeah.
we saw that in that Netflix documentary. There is a lot of pressure.
Exactly. There is a lot of pressure. But I think with CSK, and to an extent with Sunrisers, I feel like that pressure
Yes,
is
yes.
calm a little bit. Like even CSK last season also, when they were having an extremely poor season, you saw smiles were on the face. No one was really, it didn't seem like everyone was going crazy or anything. And just turn around and see like an RCB a couple of years back, when things were not working out. You saw the vibe wasn't great. They saw that people were frustrated. You saw a lot of things going on. So that's the difference between the way management is set up. And I think that Chennai leads the way the teams are managed, I think.
Yeah. Well, if you just look at the game again, like the opener set it up, but and then the likes of Moin Ali and Uthappa, like you mentioned. But from Kolkata side of things, very sloppy in the field. Dinesh Karthik missing a few stumpings. Morgan giving extra runs. Unlike them, these guys are experienced players. And then even these two with the bat, they'll be disappointed. We mentioned their form throughout the season, and they're relying on the top order. And this was the time with Tripathi injured. They needed these guys to fire, and that's probably where they lost the game.
100%. I think that I felt like there was a little bit of pressure. I think KKR was more under stress than Chennai were. I think Chennai were up for it. They were up for like a finals, because the experience also matters. They have experienced players. Plus, I think the likes of Lockie Ferguson didn't click today. The likes of I mentioned Shakib and Varun also were not at their best. Narayan was the only standout bowler. Mavi also unfortunately got hit for a few. Yeah, and then with the bat as well. Like it was the prime time for the likes of Morgan and Karthik with their experience to step it up, and maybe just 1 or 2 overs of knocking it around and then just go for it in the end. But that didn't happen, unfortunately, and they will be disappointed. I think that they had the chance. I think a few things. It just from the get go. I think after the toss, everything didn't really go pan out as they would have liked. Like you said, some important missed chances. If Faf would have gotten out to that stumping chance of Dinesh Karthik, that would have been a completely different story, maybe, because that exposes suddenly the somewhat out of form middle order, and that would have been a problem. It could have been very different if it was 170 versus a 190.
Yeah, and the form of I think the battle between Ferguson and Hazel, with the fact that Hazel won that, Ferguson got hit for 50 odd runs in his 4 overs. I think that was the game, not the game, but it was a big factor in contributing, and the way also CSK attacked the KKR spinners as well.
I think for what was most important, I think for me was and a lot of credit again goes to Dhoni, was the fact that they stuck on 90 runs in 10 overs. They were on song to go without the wicket, and then the one wicket went, and then the pressure started mounting, and then Dhoni, his smart bowling changes, bringing in Shardul Thakur, who picks up 2 wickets in an over, which is becoming norm for him almost, to pick up 2 wickets suddenly in an over, and then to keep continuing with attacking with Jaddu, and Josh, and just smart bowling changes, and using the conditions very well to his advantage, and he was able to create a colossal collapse on the likes of KKR. So yeah, I think overall, I think very very good team effort from CSK.
Yeah, absolutely. And for KKR, Dhoni mentioned it in the presentation, the way they came back from seventh to second. I think credit to them. And they didn't have Russell as well. He's a big match player, someone that you probably needed here in this kind of chase. He would have been the perfect guy. So, they shouldn't lose too much heart. I think they had a fantastic season, especially after the start. They've done really well to finish where they are. They punched above their weight definitely, and now just going into that auction. And again, KKR again is a type of management. They might not be like the most chilled or the most spending the money, but they're very disciplined. They know what they want to do, and they try different things. They're a kind of franchise where they're open to different methods, new stuff, money ball kind of tactics.
And I have to give, there's something about these New Zealanders that are taking over this IPL. You saw the likes of Baz, you've seen Stephen Fleming over the years, who's been phenomenal with Chennai. Baz is with KKR, has just that kind of a turnaround that is in there. Kane Williamson with Sunrisers has been a pivotal role, especially with all the David Warner dramas over the past season as well. So you see that calming influence of all these New Zealanders that are taking over. And now you're starting to see that slight change in morale with the RCB coaches. I can't remember his name. It's not coming to the top of my mind. Mike Hazel,
Yeah.
exactly. So you're seeing that change. RCB over the past 2 seasons have made the playoffs, which is not something that they've done in the past. So you're seeing that change a little bit there as well. So got to give some credit to these New Zealanders. They're in it to win it.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, for you, like player of the tournament, young player of the tournament, let's just go best batsman, best bowler, and best young player.
Man, Harshal Patel for the bowler, I feel like he deserves it. Even though I find it hard to understand how he's taken those many wickets, but there is something that he's doing which is right, and more power to him. And for me, batsman, I want to go batsman and young player to Rituraj Gaikwad. Man, that guy was phenomenal. I think if I have to choose two different players, then I'd say KL Rahul as the batsman and then Rituraj as the young player. But I think Rituraj deserves to be the best batsman as well. The orange cap speaks for itself. He's scored more than 600 runs, which is a phenomenal season. If you can score more than 600 runs for your team, which this is a team where and this is an unknown player. You've not really heard about Rituraj Gaikwad till a couple of last 2 games of last season. I think when they were completely out, they just allowed him to go on, and he showed some skill, and then just to stick with him and be able to for him to be able to produce the kind of runs that he did was fantastic. So for me, Rituraj Gaikwad would be my batsman and my young player of the tournament.
Yeah, and shout out to Anil Jaswal, Patikal. They've had the glimpses there as well. India
Absolutely.
and then with the ball, Avesh Khan, I think he was also fantastic. Mavi as well. He had a good final as well, just unlucky to be on the losing side. So there's a good future with these youngsters. For me,
There's the speed of Umran Malik, big
yeah,
plus.
outstanding. That was brilliant. For me, it's simple. For me, bowler of the tournament, Rashid Khan, batsman, Bairstow, and young player, Umran Malik. I don't know. And then you call yourself a Sunrisers fan. I don't understand. For me, it was very
Uh,
simple. I answered in 15 seconds.
yeah. Shut up.
But yeah, I think that wraps it up. The carnival is done. IPL is done. I'm really looking forward to the World Cup. We've seen today we saw a good pitch, so like there's
Yeah,
some.
hopefully there's more like these. Yeah,
Hopefully we see pitches like that. But yeah, like apart from that, I think the standard of the tournament it was good, but the ICC is going to be different pressure. There's going to be more eyeballs watching. It's going to be you're playing with your fellow country mates. It's going to be completely different. I think it's going to be much more competitive, more serious, and So yeah, it's going to be fun, man. I think.
I just have one request for the Sharjah groundsmen to work 24/7 to make those pitches the way they were back in the day, because I want to see a 200 runs being scored at Sharjah. That's my deal, man. It's always fun. I mean, I love close games, but I don't love it as much as we saw it this time around. But
Yeah.
low scoring close games should be few and far in between. I think that the high scoring close games are more fun to watch.
No mercy for the bowlers, huh?
Yeah, well, that's how the game is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have the qualifiers in Oman starting on Sunday, and then from there it will be the World Cup 23rd. I think England West Indies kick it off, and from there you'll have some big games. So we will be discussing, chatting, everything. World Cup, it's going to be fun. But yeah, last thoughts about the IPL. It felt like it went on for 6 months, but they finally managed to complete it. Like. To be fair, the Dubai leg, it started quietly, but there were some really fun games. Even the eliminator, the second qualifier was very entertaining. So it was pretty decent. It was a good tournament at the end of the day.
I mean, IPL is by far the best franchise tournament there is. If there are significant others that are over there, but I think nothing beats the power, nothing beats the limelight, nothing beats the money that IPL provides. So it's always good to see the IPL being contested and being finished. It would have been heartbreaking for a lot of people that put a lot of money to be able to have it the way broken off the way it did. So yeah, like you said, I mean, started off slowly a little bit, but I think that it lived up to the IPL hype, and here's to hoping that the next season is continuous, two new teams, and more drama, more excitement, and more power to the IPL, man.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting because you have like teams like Chennai, Mumbai who are very successful, but I think they won't be able to retain as much as they did. They've carried on like Chennai 10 years, Mumbai like maybe 6 or 7 years. They've had players, the same players, or even more, right? So it's going to be completely different now. I think with two extra teams, you're
With
going to see a big shuffle up.
I feel like the more and more the IPL becomes famous now. It's gone on for 12 seasons now. So to have a crazy shuffle like this is not gonna be liked by a lot of fans and stuff like that, right? But that makes sense because two new teams come in. But at what point are you going to be like, okay, when the new teams come in, the old teams still have their base or their core? Because creating a core every season will be hard. Every 3 seasons will be hard.
Yeah.
So there's
And
going to have to be.
honestly, I would suggest there's plenty of Indian talent. There's no doubt, right? You can fill two teams, but I would suggest to have 5 foreign players in each team because you have 10 teams now, and just have an extra foreign player just in case. You don't need to play them, but
Yeah.
just have that thing. I don't know.
If it was that the
You get
case,
answers anyway because they have 2 extra teams, right? That's what I was saying.
exactly. And I feel like if that's the case, our Sunrisers, if it was the case this season, I think Sunrisers would have really worked. It would have worked out in our favor, I think.
Yeah, because the thing is, what will happen is then I don't want a situation where like two teams are completely out of the picture.
Yeah.
When the new teams come in, like the Pune Super Giants and Gujarat Lions still okay, but I think before that, the other Pune Warriors and the Kerala Tuskers, Kochi Tuskers, that was ridiculous, man. Like it's just because of the distribution of the players. So if you just increase that quota, it just balance it out because you're giving Indian opportunities anyway, right? You're still going to have 6 Indians, 12 extra Indians playing next season. So
it's gonna be real fun to see how what the rules will be for the auction and stuff like that. So I guess we're just gonna wait it, but I can't really wait. I'm just excited to hear and see what happens in the future.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for joining me throughout the IPL. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully, we'll continue this partnership going into the World Cup. That's going to be also a lot of fun, a lot of banter as well. It's going to be fun. Like even though we support the same team, there's other teams that we have our second, third favorites, which will be different. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, New Zealand if not India.
For me, Afghanistan if not India.
Fair enough.
We already have a thing. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for joining. And Don, I will see you soon.
As always, man. Take care.